Oh, yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen!
Are you ready?
For your moment of bliss.
Because what Poppy wants, Poppy gets.
I don't even know if that's PG!
I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for me.
That's the bottom line! It's time! It's time!
Welcome to the most must-see WWE talk show in history. Welcome to
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better!
It's still real to me, damn it!
But what's the cup for? A cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time, because you'll never get closer than now.
Good morning. Welcome to Cup of Coffee in the Big Time, WrestleMania 39 edition. You're listening to the Cream of the Crop Wrestling Podcast, the podcast you can take home to mom. We are your tag team champions of the program. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Rob, and we'd like everyone to embrace the kingdom of the madness by be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
So first off, as our debut episode of Cup of Coffee in the Big Time, this is a highlight show where Rob and I will discuss what happened and what we think about it. You can catch the show weekly for the highlights of Raw and SmackDown starting this Sunday morning. With that out of the way, let's pour ourselves a cup and talk about WrestleMania 39. All right, let's talk about the first match of night 2 WrestleMania 39, Rob. Let's begin with Omos versus Brock Lesnar. And we saw a very well done Giant versus Beast match here, Rob. Omos just dominated Lesnar, just kind of holding him off the entire time. Lesnar couldn't really get any sort of momentum or offense going until towards the very end when you finally see Lesnar hit that very first German suplex. And I think he only hits, this is probably the least amount of suplexes we've ever seen Brock Lesnar hit in a Brock Lesnar match. But man, oh man, kudos to Omos during this match. He definitely impressed me. I'm not disappointed about the ending. I would probably have rather seen Lesnar put over Omos. But again, with Lesnar getting the win here, it doesn't hurt the Nigerian Giant very much, I don't think at all, because he had a good showing. What do you have to say about this match?
This match was exactly what I expected it to be. So my expectations were this could either be Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, or this could just be anywhere from Goldberg Lesnar at 33, where, you know, it's a train wreck, but it's fast. And it was in between that, which was perfect. So Omos threw Lesnar and literally picked him up and tossed him around at the beginning, and then did a lot of body slams and just worked to the back of Lesnar, which, you know, I know it's not a long story, but that told a story, because later in the match, after Lesnar hit the Germans, which I thought was impressive, good for Omos taking the Germans and on that front. But the first time Lesnar goes for the F5, Lesnar can't get him up because his back is hurting from all the body slams and the forearms to the back that Omos was doing. So credit for the small story there, working that body part. And then they got what they wanted. The match lasted 4 minutes. Lesnar got Omos up for the F5. It was a nice visual. The crowd ate it up. Lesnar got the easy pin. And for us, we like Omos. He's not going to be anything except for just an attraction here and there, something like that. And everything about this was perfect. There's nothing you can say wrong about it. And so in all reality, good for Omos. Got a big moment. You got to face Lesnar at WrestleMania. Not a lot of people can say that. Lesnar, you got that nice, awesome little visual of you actually F5ing a 7'3" human being, and we can all move on.
Moving on, we will, Rob, because let's talk about the next match. It's the Tag Team Showcase Match Women's Edition. We have Shotzi and Natalya versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Rob, go ahead and break down this match for him.
So this match was probably the one I was least looking forward to the most out of the entire weekend. And I thought the ladies went out there and did a really, really decent job for the time that they had. A few highlights of the spot or of the shot was Shayna Baszler kind of looked pretty strong at the beginning, but when she something happened to her ankle, so she goes to the outside, and I want to say it was Shotzi Blackheart went for a suicide dive. Did not look weird at all. Everything looked fine. She did her thing. Shayna caught her, but then all of a sudden, the next time you see Shayna was at the end of the match, and she had no boot on. She immediately grabbed her ankle or her foot, so something happened there. But other highlights of the match is Raquel and Liv had some nice tag team moments together. I thought Shotzi looked the best that we've seen her look since before the Ronda debacle. She went out there and was looking crisp, looking clean. Natty did her patented double sharpshooter on, I believe it was on Chelsea and um, Sonya Deville. This time it looked better than it usually does. And then in the end, though, it was Ronda going in there, grabbed Shotzi Blackheart, and just put her in the armbar. And that was the only time we really saw Ronda in the match. And it was an easy victory. And everyone kind of got a spot and we moved on. But it didn't live up to what the men's did the night before. And it was just kind of was what it was.
Yeah, especially for Ronda Rousey, I don't think this lived up to the expectations of a Ronda Rousey match, Rob. But again, you could say this is Ronda not wanting to steal the spotlight away and be, the showcase of the match. I have to agree with you on the Shotzi being the show out star of this match for sure. And you could even say maybe it was due to her lackluster match against Ronda last year. So she had something to prove. And is this her? I think this was Shotzi's first WrestleMania. So definitely kudos to her. She got to go out there and have a legendary partner in Natalya. Honestly, definitely the outcome I expected. Ronda and Shayna picking up the win. And I mean, the winners here get a tag team title match. So Ronda versus Shayna is what we wanted. Ronda versus Shayna is what we got. And I'm looking forward to Ronda and Shayna versus Becky and Lita. I think that'll be even a better match.
I say I'm curious on if the injuries are going to affect anything. So we know Ronda came into the match with a little bit of a hairline fracture and I believe one of her hands. And now if Shayna has an injured foot or ankle, I'm kind of curious on kind of what the plans are going forward, if that is something we have to worry about.
Well, the next match of the night, Rob, was definitely one you and I were both looking forward to. It is Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus Gunther in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Man, oh man. We had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre make their normal entrances, but Gunther gets a special entrance, and this was just foreshadowing, was it not, Rob? The story throughout the match was definitely Sheamus and Drew beating the absolute hell out of each other. I honestly expected a kind of three-way balance throughout this match, but that was the story of this match, was Sheamus versus Drew trying to take each other out. And that's the story that they told, is Gunther ends up taking advantage of that. We see Drew almost get the near fall at first, and then Sheamus sets up and sets up for his near fall and is stopped by Gunther flying off the top rope at the last second. And Gunther, this is Gunther coming in and taking advantage of them beating the hell out of each other. He hits a power bomb on Sheamus, then he hits a power bomb on Drew and pins Drew McIntyre to retain. I know you and I both this was one of those matches we wanted a storybook ending. We wanted Sheamus to finally capture that title that's been escaping him.
You did.
You didn't want Sheamus to win this match.
This was I'm a fanboy for our ring general.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I was all in on Gunther. So I do want Sheamus to eventually win, but I think he's going to win at Money in the Bank in the UK. There's a reason he didn't take the pin. So I think that's what that's leading to. So this was my favorite match of the whole weekend. Granted, I am biased because anything Gunther's in, I'm just going to love and adore because I think his style is excellent. And one of the things I love about him is he doesn't win with the same move every time. Sometimes it's the splash off the top. Sometimes it's a lariat. Sometimes it is the power bomb. And so since he has all these moves that he does have victories with, when you see it happen during the match, you're like, oh, that could be it. So those close pinfalls really mean so much more because he hit Sheamus with a huge lariat and I thought that was it. And it was not it. There is a moment. Now, granted, these guys pounded the hell out of each other the entire time. So when I say this, you could point out many moments, but there was one specific where Gunther and Drew, you kind of get the boos and the yeah punches where the crowd's going to chant back and forth, but instead these guys are doing it with chops. And usually when you're in a stadium, a lot of these loud sounds you can't hear. The sound goes up. It's not as noisy as possible, so the loud chops aren't going to be heard that very much. These ones were as crystal clear as could possibly be done. I mean, when 5 minutes into the match, Sheamus is bleeding from the chest. Drew is beet red. Gunther has handprints all over him of different sizes from both Sheamus and Drew. So to say these guys didn't go out there and just beat the hell out of each other would be an understatement. But I am with you on the ending of this match. Sheamus clearly about to get the pin. Gunther breaks it up. So I don't want to say you got the visual pin, but you got the insinuation of a visual pin for Sheamus that he could use going forward. So he could blame Drew that he didn't get the win because he should have had the match the entire time. But I loved, not only did Gunther powerbomb Sheamus, but he powerbombed Sheamus on top of Drew McIntyre's back. And then he powerbombed Drew McIntyre to get the win. So for me personally, we all know how I feel about Gunther. I thought this was the match of the weekend. Go out of your way to watch this if you haven't. But for me, this took the cake of it all. Emotions, nothing's going to beat the emotion of the storylines we've had with the Bloodline. But just as a match quality standpoint, this is everything I'm always looking for in a match.
The Intercontinental title continues to be the working man's title, as they said during the commentary here. Definitely looking forward to Gunther continuing this reign. So I'm glad he retained. Let's move on to the next match, Rob. It is Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. This was a match that kind of exceeded expectations, I think, Rob. It had a decent build going up to WrestleMania. I expected a great match, but I got a better match than what I expected, and I can't be mad at that. Let's talk about Asuka's entrance first. She had that classic imposter entrance where we had several people dressed up as her, and she had the special entrance get up. And then Bianca Belair makes her entrance, and she has a kids dance group, the Divas of Compton. And it was just another good feel good moment. We saw that in night one with John Cena, and I think this is the person that you wanted to talk about as being Mrs. WrestleMania. Am I wrong?
This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. So at WrestleMania 37, after she had won the Royal Rumble, she goes ahead and has an amazing match with Sasha Banks that closes out night one. And then her next year, she then has another amazing match with Becky Lynch for WrestleMania 38. And now, third year running, and now a year as a champion, a full year, she goes out there and knocks it out the park with Asuka. Bianca, there's not much she can't do in the ring, but she's getting on that level now where you can guarantee that she's going to have an amazing match when the WrestleMania lights get turned on, because right now she is 3 for 3, and I fully expect that streak to continue going into WrestleMania 40 next year. So match-wise, this was fun. So during the match, it was just kind of a nice back and forth. The ladies were doing a lot of back and forth moves. It was a very teeter-totter type match where everyone they kind of studied each other really, really well. They knew what was coming next. Asuka was looking a lot more crisp than she had before. This was the Asuka we've all been wanting to see for a long time. Her moves were really clean. She a lot more of the snug, strong style that we're used to from her. So it was good to see that. Kudos to her paint. I don't know what brand she uses, but I'm used to old school Ultimate Warrior where halfway through a match, the paint's completely gone. Dude, Asuka's was still perfect by the end of the match, and her matches are always longer than Warrior's was. So kudos to the paint department on that one. I'm going to go straight to the end here. So Asuka goes for the mist. Bianca moves, and so the mist hits nobody. And then all of a sudden, Asuka gets her locked into the Asuka lock, and then that just gets transformed, and as from the ground, Bianca Belair deadlifts this woman up on her shoulders and hits the KOD for the 1-2-3. As disappointed as, and this is going to be a theme on night 2, as disappointed as I was with the outcome, because I wanted to see Asuka finally get a WrestleMania win, because I think she's 0-5 now, you can't be mad at the quality of the match. This was an amazing, stellar WrestleMania women's title match, and we'll talk about this later because it gets bigger and bigger, and I think we could have talked about it with the Intercontinental title match as well. If you're more focused on who should have won and who didn't win, you're missing out on great wrestling that's happening. You're not focused on what the real point is of the weekend. So the fact that Asuka didn't win, and that disappointed me. That did not take anything away from the quality and excellent match that these ladies put on.
Well, the next match, Rob, was another unsanctioned match. We got a repeat from night 1 to where we get The Miz and Snoop Dogg coming out. Snoop Dogg makes another match official and has another surprise opponent for The Miz, and it is Shane McMahon. We see Shane coming out, and he's just, I don't know how to explain it. This dude comes out and goes balls to the wall and doesn't know how to just retain himself. It seems like he gets so excited when he gets in that ring, doesn't he? We see Shane go for I don't even know what the hell he was trying to do, but he he takes a bump and he ends up tearing a quad. Is that what actually happened?
He went for a leapfrog, and when he landed, he tore his quad.
Okay, so yeah, he actually really tore his quad, and so that was I wasn't sure if that was part of it or not. But then you see it shift over to where Snoop Dogg gets involved. Snoop knocks out the Miz, and he knocks him out twice, and then he goes for a doggy people's elbow drop, and I swear on everything, it was just like I was watching a really bad segment in WWE 2K. What do you have to say about this, Rob?
Okay, so when this show was done, I'm going to say this, and I feel like I'm going to regret saying this out loud, but it is what it is. This segment as a whole was dumb. They could have done so many different things. Shane McMahon, that dude gets sweaty just from like sitting in air conditioning. I don't know how he does that, man, but he just gets so sweaty and winded so quickly. But this segment, and I want to talk about this too, before we get into the final two matches. There are two people that I did not realize when they are going to finally retire and move on, I'm going to miss them. The first one is The Miz. I get annoyed with The Miz, but that dude, he goes out there and has no issues being silly, has no issues making himself look like an ass. It has no issues as well as just taking punishment from people he has no right to. Like, he has no right to take bumps from Snoop Dogg. But he goes out there and he does it, and he does it like a champ. And so as a segment, we're just going to move on from this. It was what it was. Sorry, Shane. Not sorry. Cool. But before we move on, I do want to talk about something, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this. This was the first WrestleMania we got without Vince McMahon yelling in the ears of the commentators that we know of. That I should say that we know of. I thought that this was Michael Cole's best WrestleMania I've ever heard it. And
he seemed very relaxed, didn't he?
He seemed relaxed, but he also, when moments needed to be made, he made them. So we had a lot of great matches this weekend, but when they got done, all of them had a different quality about them. Where, when Charlotte and Rhea was done, he talked about that was one of the damnedest matches I'd ever seen. When Finn Balor and Edge get done, we'll talk about that here in a second. He said that's one of the battle of attritions that you'll ever see. He used a different word for every match to describe it, but when he was talking about him too, you could tell he was having fun. You could tell the raw emotion behind him. And I just want to say, Michael Cole, we shit on you a lot, but I think I'm going to miss you when you're gone, because it shows like this that I'm like, dude, you are really good at your job. And so, and what I heard, and this was Corey Graves said this out loud. I didn't realize this. This is Michael Cole's 22nd WrestleMania. When we think of great announcers, we think of Jim Ross, Gorilla Monsoon, Heenan, etc. No one's done it as long in WWE as Michael Cole.
Moving on to the next match of the night, Rob. It is Edge versus the Demon, Finn Balor, in the Hell in a Cell match. We get a great mixed entrance at the beginning from Edge, to where it's got a little brood aspect to it. He's got a real nice mirror mask, like a mirror death mask almost at the beginning, and it transitions to his regular entrance. But then we get the Demon entrance for the first time at WrestleMania. Finn looks great. The Demon looks great. It's got some purple. We see it's like smoke bomb sticks that he's carrying to the ring. Again, another one of these outside arena WrestleManias where this type of entrance would just be a little bit better if it was later in the day. But not bad at all. Great that we get to see this for the first time at Mania. But let's talk about this match. This was one of those matches to where I expected it to go on forever. But I think it ended in just the right amount of time, and it amped up more from the get-go. This was one of those matches that had great progression throughout. It started out a little slow, and then it built and built and built. We see a TLC aspect. We get tables, we get ladders, we get chairs, and I think the most important thing we get here is restitution for Edge with the Judgment Day, because Edge ends up picking up the victory over Finn Balor, the Demon Finn Balor, after hitting a concerto, just like from the finish from, it was Extreme Rules, right? From seen the I Quit match, and we see when they get Beth Phoenix involved. But man, oh man, what a match! We get the classic Hell in a Cell. First off, right? It's not red. let's all take a moment to have a moment of silence for the red Hell in a Cell cage. Hopefully we don't see it anymore. And moving on. But yeah, great match. It didn't go as long as I thought it would, but when it was over, I was like, damn, that was actually better than what I thought it was going to be. And I didn't think it was going to be a bad match, but for an end all on this storyline for Edge and the Judgment Day, is this a good stopping point?
Yes, like 100% yes. I think Edge is going to go away after this, and I think with Rhea winning the SmackDown title, she's going to have to move over to Fox, and then I don't know what they're going to do with the Judgment Day. Personally, I would like to just see Priest and Finn as a tag team and work their way through that. I think that'd be a fun way to go. But as for the match was solid. Another thing you didn't mention, this was a favorite part of mine, purple kendo sticks. So we had Judgment Day kendo sticks in this one because, of course, WWE has to have themed kendo sticks for some reason. So I thought that was fun. I understand why I didn't like the ref stoppage when there was blood. But man, Finn took a shot there
during a Hell in a Cell match. That was a little.
I
didn't want to mention it because it's just I didn't know if that was on. Was that on? You think that was on purpose? Was that planned?
No, I think he just. No, he took a huge gash there. It just if you saw where he got hit, so he put his hands up to block it from hitting his like full on head, but his just somehow a bar just got through and he just smacked himself, and there's a huge gash on his head. He put it on social media, so
definitely kudos for continuing for sure.
Right, yeah, it happens. One of my favorite spots here though is near the end. So Finn Balor is going up for the coup de grace. And then he looks over and there's a platform up on the Hell in the Cell, and like he just does this Spider-Man leap to the cell to climb up go a little bit taller, and Edge is on this table. So he's going to do the coup de grace through a table, and he leaps. Edge misses. And this is a long way to be landing on your feet through a table and not roll an ankle or hurting yourself. I mean, we just saw the Dante Martin stuff happen 2 nights prior. So like, I would have been like, that would be what's going on in my head. So he misses that. And then that's what leads to the ending where, Edge ends up, I believe, hitting the spear and then doing the concerto there. So I thought the ending, I will say the last 10 minutes trumped the first 10 minutes that we had there. The first 5 to 10 minutes, we had fun spots. I did like the callback to the Usos New Day spot where he took the kendo sticks and he trapped Finn in the corner and then beat him up with the kendo sticks there as well. I thought that was fun. So I am with you. It was great to see the classic Hell in a Cell silver look once again. I'm glad that they didn't do anything super insane over the top, like go on top of the cell. They kept it inside the cell. There was no Damian Priest breaking into it to interfere. I thought this was a perfect feud ending Hell in a Cell match, and both men can now move on to whatever's next. And we are all done with this feud. This was a nice little ribbon, capped it off. Let's move on.
Well, all right, Rob, it's that time. It's time for the end all of the entire weekend. The main event that everyone was anticipating, that has been anticipating since last WrestleMania. We have Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship. Now, we all know this story. We know Cody came back last year at WrestleMania as a surprise. And from that moment, we all of us Cody Rhodes fans saw the road begin. Cody Rhodes' journey to WrestleMania. We didn't know what kind of turns were on this road. We just knew our ending destination was going to be WrestleMania 39. And I can't express enough how conflicted with this. And it took me some time to sit and think about why, right? This is WrestleMania, and we have 2 nights of WrestleMania, and there has to be some heartbreak. We're not going to get every storybook ending that we wanted. And I think this is the one that fits the scheme the most. This makes the most sense. I've said since Cody Rhodes came back at the Royal Rumble and immediately won the Rumble after being hurt, that I believe, and it's not Rhodes' fault for getting hurt and being gone, 6-7 months in between, right? But there's that gap. It dampens that run from Rumble to Mania for me, and it did. So this outcome that we got during this match is very, very heartbreaking, but it's oh so right. But let's talk about the entrances first. We get a special undisputed champion entrance from Roman Reigns on his 945th day as champion, Rob. He has a bunch of pianos what was it? Four or five pianos out there.
I think it ended up with 6 out there. Yeah, they had quite a bit.
Yeah. They had a few pianos out there playing his song at the beginning. Roman comes down. Paul Heyman hands him a microphone, and we get WrestleMania acknowledgement for Roman Reigns. Go ahead and let's kick off about the match, Rob. What do you have to say about it?
This match may go down as one of my favorite WrestleMania main events in a long, long time. So match quality wise, this was an epic WWE style main event match, which we should not expect any less because we have 2 great storytellers in there. So in the beginning, it's kind of a lot of back and forth, both men trying to get a little bit of upper hand on one another. But anytime Cody would get the upper hand, you would get a immediate interruption by Solo Sikoa. Starting off with small things such as like tripping Cody with when he would go by with the ropes, and then it got to a point where he hit Cody in the side with a chair. And then Cody was selling the ribs for a little bit, and then we got the final one where he grabbed the weight belt and he hit Cody with it, and the ref finally heard that, and Solo Sikoa gets kicked out, and so the crowd's elated about that. We're finally going to get 1-on-1, and these guys, they beat the hell out of each other. I mean, they go out to the ramp and they are doing body slams on the hard ramp going out there. We get a nice table spot where it looks like I think Roman's going to do a power bomb to Cody through the table. Cody reverses it and puts Roman through a table. We get a lot of and wonderful small little bits too here. So a lot of times in matches, this is like more of an old school thinking of the rules. The referee will count to 6 and then say, "Hey, come on, guys, come back in," but then he'll restart his count. They didn't do this here. Roman and Cody deliberately made sure that they would go in themselves to break up the count and go back outside, which is something I have not seen in a long time. And I was so happy to see that. That was a nice touch that both of those guys added. So as the match went on, both guys were having great moments, great near falls. Had Cody, I believe he hit a pedigree had an awesome second near fall of the weekend from a pedigree. That was fun. Then as we got closer to the end, we get the standard ref bump. And then as we have the ref bump, Cody, that's when the Usos come out and they do their thing. And so they're going out there and I believe they hit the 1D on Cody. Is that correct?
Yep. Cody gets hit with the 1D and he's the second person to kick out.
Right. He kicks out of the 1D, but also then Sammy and Kevin come out. They dispatch of the Usos, but before they leave the ring, each of them, Kevin hits a stunner and then also Sammy hits a haluva kick. And then Cody goes for a pin after that. And we get this great near fall because the poetic justice of Roman losing by getting hit with those 2 guys' finishers. But yet he kicks out and we get a great near fall on that one. Go a little bit forward here. Cody locks Roman into the figure 4 leg lock, just like his old dad's finishing move used to be. Roman reverses the pressure on that one, gets into the ropes, breaks that up. A little bit farther into the match, these guys are getting winded. You could tell that the moment is finally arriving. We're getting near the end here, and Cody does a little bit of the left jabs, a little bit of rolling with the bionic elbow that his father used to hit as well, and then the moment happens. So Cody hits one crossroad. Cody hits a second crossroad. And then as he gets up to hit number 3, Paul Heyman jumps up on the apron and the referee goes to admonish him to try and get him down. And in doing so, Roman kind of backs Cody up while still getting set up for the crossroads in the corner. And this man comes out wearing a hoodie and it's Solo Sikoa. And he just hits Cody with this Samoan spike. Cody lets go of Roman, kind of stumbles away holding his chest, and he turns around into a spear. 1, 2, 3. And still, our tribal chief, undisputed WWE Universal Champion is Roman Reigns. And I have never heard a crowd get so deflated. I have never heard a crowd just be so sad and upset of a result of a match. And I'm going to be in the minority here. We're both in the minority on this one. And so a lot of people are like, it's time to move on from Roman. It's time. This was Cody's moment. You're not going to have a better moment. Folks, usually the people saying this are the people that are upset about this are the ones like that want to praise other companies for doing similar things. The one story I want to talk about that is very similar to what's going on here is Kenny Omega lost to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom when everyone thought it was his moment. He then went to Dominion later that year to get his another rematch against Okada, and it went to a time limit draw. He had to wait a whole nother year to Dominion the following year, and they had their 2 out of 3 falls match, which to me is still the greatest wrestling match I've ever witnessed in my whole life. And he finally got that victory. And it did not diminish that championship title run, that victory at all. Be patient. The story's not over yet. The journey has just begun. There is still so much to uncover here. There's still so many more layers here. So just be patient. We're not saying Cody's not the guy, just not yet. Just let that moment happen.
This is not the outcome I wanted, but this is the outcome that I needed, because one thing that I have thought about with Triple H is he likes to, he likes to crowd please. He wants to give us everything we want, right? So this was absolutely that one moment, that one match in the entire weekend to where you could really just throw a wrench into it and turn everybody upside down. And I can't be mad at that, Rob. I really can't. I said it a minute ago that Cody Rhodes' build to this Mania was just a little bit diminished for me because of that time gap. It would, if there was never a gap, then I say it should have went the other way. But because of that and the outcome that we actually got, it can't be any more perfect. It really can't. In Roman Reigns, 945 days as champion. Why not go for 1,000?
So, I mean, yeah, we have him going for 1,000. I mean, if we're going external about this, yeah, we have the 1,000 days, we have the sale of the company, things of that nature that are factored into this. But on a storybook level, the glory days of NXT, those years from about 2016 through 2019, for that NXT wasn't on a massive scale like WWE is. There's a lot less people watching. So for those of you that never watched during that time and you're just mad at this story, Triple H has done this before, and the story ended up being amazing. He did this with Johnny Gargano. Gargano was the underdog who everyone wanted to win the title at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia against Andrade. The moment was right. The crowd was right. We wanted it, and he failed. And no one got mad. It was just a wonderful road bump in the long-term story of when Johnny Gargano finally got crowned as champion, which didn't happen until a year and 3 months later. So it still had a long way to go. So I tell everyone, we don't usually do this with WWE because of past history, and I don't blame anyone for this. But this is a new head of creative who did not steer us wrong in NXT. Be patient. This is all part of a giant story, and just until he proves us wrong, we deserve for him to give us the benefit of the doubt. And so just hold off. He's going to give you that moment, and it's not going to be too late. It's not going to be too early. It's just going to be just right, and you're going to love it. I promise.
Well, that's our program. Thank you for listening to Cream of the Crop of Wrestling. Embrace the madness by liking and subscribing. Hit that notification bell to stay up to date with us. Until next time, I'm Pat, he's Rob, and we'll see ya when we see ya.